crazy, just about crazy, just about crazy. I'm just about crazy, just about crazy, just about crazy. Missing what I've lost. I paid the cost, and now I understand. And now I understand that everything don't always go how you plan. I'm just about crazy, just about crazy, just about crazy, just about crazy. I'm just about crazy, just about crazy, just about crazy. I'm just about crazy, just about crazy, just about crazy. I'm just about crazy, just about crazy, just about crazy. Who knew the sky isn't always blue? Sometimes it's gray, it never fades away. I'm just about crazy, just about crazy, just about crazy. I'm just about crazy, just about crazy, just about crazy. I'm just about crazy, just about crazy, just about crazy. I'm just about crazy, just about crazy, just about crazy. I must be out of my mind, yeah, yeah. Out of my, out of my, out of my mind. I must be out of my mind. I must be out of my mind. Out of my mind. Ooh, out of my mind. Just about, just about. I'm out of my mind. Just about, just about crazy. Just about crazy. Out of my mind. Just about crazy. Just about crazy. Just about crazy. Out of my mind. Just about crazy. 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 I'm just about crazy. Just about crazy. Just about crazy. I think I'm thirsty, need a taste. Drinking drizzy that's been laced with something I call an Uber just in case. I need a ride before you get me. I'm going boss against the wall. Oh, oh, oh.
Here we go. That was Uber by Bearaxe. You're listening to SIGNL, and this is the guest playlist, where it's an infrequent show, but when we do it, we invite special guests from the world of creative arts to talk about their work and what they're working on and everything in general in the city of Seattle. And this week, I'm pleased to welcome Lorenzo and Cosmo into the studio from Shelterfest. Thanks for being here, guys.
Thanks for having us, Jay.
Of course, we're happy to be here.
And for those that don't know, Shelterfest is an online benefit music festival providing direct support to black artists and restaurant owners in the greater Seattle area during the COVID-19 pandemic. And it's a great event, and it's something you guys have both kind of initiated and put together out of scratch. And so tell me a bit more about it. How did it come together and everything?
Well, it was your idea from the jump.
Oh, yeah.
From the inception of it. It did come from you.
That's funny that you say that, because it's actually just not true. We were talking when everything hit the fan, in February. Was it? No, it was March. I don't even remember when.
2020.
Now. It's yeah. But basically, we were just like, Cosmo and I have a media production company called Bad Habit, and we mostly do video content for artists and small businesses in the region, social content. And there was not a lot of that happening, when COVID hit. So we had a lot of time, that we hadn't expected to have, and basically at the same time we noticed that all the people that had supported us when we first started out, we had just started working together, as brothers, and it was that first year that a lot of these artists and small businesses actually, believed in us and it took a chance on us. We had nothing to show, and we just were a couple kids that showed up and said, we want to make cool stuff with you guys. And here was a moment when all these people that had believed in us were hurting really bad, and we were like, we could probably use the skills and the resources and networks that we have to help out and to do something that might actually make life a little bit easier for some of these people. And you were like, oh, I just saw a live stream festival, let's do one of those.
That was me? Oh, yeah. Man. Yeah, I mean, it came right at the time where we were starting to feel like, okay, maybe this business thing that we're doing might actually be a real thing. And it started to, we hadn't even really started picking up traction per se, but we had started to kind of, it started to become an actual part of our lives. And right when we were starting to feel that, COVID hit, and there was nothing. And, we saw everybody was really quick to do live stream festivals. They still are. And it's definitely been honed in a little bit more. It's been brought more to the professional realm, but, anybody can start a live stream festival, which is, it's inspiring. And it also is sometimes a bummer when I know I would see a lot of artists that I really liked a lot, and it would be a very lackluster, experience online, because it's just not the same thing as a performance. Anyway, so this kind of new medium was coming around, and everybody's taking a swing at it, even people who weren't even self-proclaimed media people. So I was like, if this is all that we got going, we should try it out. And as we were talking about it, we started to realize that if we're going to put time and effort into doing something like this, first of all, no one's going to pay us to do it. It better be something that we actually believe in and think is going to be cool. Second, we could use this platform to help a lot of people and, make something that would actually make an impact, as opposed to just being another link that eventually fades away.
Yeah. And people were starting to think of the the pandemic as a great equalizer, right? There was a lot of talk about how COVID was like leveling a lot of playing fields, but it was pretty clear to a lot of people that just wasn't happening. And in fact, the virus made a lot of inequity is just far worse. It sort of exacerbated existing situations. So even before May, it was clear that certain communities, certain demographics were getting hit harder by the virus just because of the systems in place in our country. And so, on top of those existing situations, which are just constant, the uprisings started to pick up a lot of steam. And it just felt like so silly of us to be like, we're doing we're doing a festival for anyone that's affected by COVID, when it's like there's, Black people are getting hit way harder than pretty much any other type of person in our region by this virus. And it's
in the country.
And it just felt like, if we're trying to actually address the people that are most affected in this situation, let's actually do that. And let's make it happen the right way.
Yeah. And a big thing is, like you said, these are issues that exist before and after the pandemic. And, we're just at this very interesting point in time where people where ears are open, eyes are open, and, it's very strange and kind of like, it's interesting how the Black Lives Matter movement really picked up at a time when tensions were already so high. And, when things were starting to pick up, the murder of George Floyd had just happened, and we're sitting in our room talking about an online festival. And it's like, this is stupid for us to just be making like a little, festival to just cause look at this cool video.
So originally you weren't you were just going to do a festival just to do a festival, or
well, it was for COVID, right? It was for artists and small businesses, restaurants, food service businesses that were affected by the virus. Because to be fair, that's still true. Artists and restaurant owners make their living through in-person interaction. Shelter in place hit, no more gigs for artists, restaurants are closed, people that work at restaurants aren't getting tipped. So that was the start, of the sector that we were honing in on. And then at this point, it's like, well, why not just go all the way? And, this is basically a specific community that's, on top of all of those things that I just mentioned, dealing with systemic racism at it's in the nooks and crannies, it's everywhere. And so to be able to provide a platform to basically amplify those voices, which, we should be doing basically, like Cosmo said, all the time. And I think, a lot of people that are that are going to tune into the festival are going to learn a bunch of new things. Like that's a big part of it too, is that, there are these people that have been doing incredible work, like Chef Tarek and like Bearaxe, that a lot of,
Rell Be Free.
Yeah, Rell Be Free for sure. People just aren't plugged into, and, it's a shame.
I mean, we weren't even plugged into them. We had to, we learned a lot of new artists. We learned a lot of things in the process. And, I think a big influence into, shifting the focus to focus on Black artists and restaurant owners was, we can't change the world, but what we can do is make an effort in our community. And I feel like that's the first step that anyone should take to start, working to make things better, because that's where you have to start. You have to start with the people who are around you, and then the people in your community. And, there are people very close to us that we didn't even know about that. And it just felt like the right thing to do.
Yeah. So how did you go about sort of making, because you already knew a few people, had a network, but what was sort of the first next steps of how are you going to, did you have any mind who you were going to reach out to? It was a lot of just searching, see who was local and stuff, or?
Was it Mira?
Oh man, I mean, you can't talk about this festival without talking about Mira.
I think Mira might have been the first person we hit up, honestly.
Yeah. We also do, what we did before the pandemic, we did a lot of work with the biggest podcast, so we should definitely be shouting them out as well.
For real.
We had basically helped produce their podcast, setting up cameras and mics and editing, and they pretty much had helped us get our foot in the door and just be kind of in the middle of the scene and where things were happening. And that's actually how we ended up getting linked up with Mira pretty much. Yeah.
Through Park Ave, through Scarlet Park, through all of the different, orgs that she's plugged into.
So we definitely hit up Mira. You know, we did some searching. We'd already had through the Park Ave events. We'd already like heard of some really cool artists, and you know, we also told our friends what we were doing. And Stevie Chow, the artist who did all the illustrations for Shelterfest, actually sent us a bunch of artists. Beverly Crusher is one I remember, which they're. I mean, I was bummed that I did not know about them earlier.
Oh my God,
I gotta say that.
That's the story of the whole festival.
Yeah,
I saw them play like the Summit Block Party a couple of years ago.
Oh, nice.
And it was a crazy setup because it was outside and it was in between like this parking garage unit. So they set up a stage there, and then I think he had a wireless guitar mic and he like climbed on top of the roof. And it was just like a whole mosh pit, just like in between all these garages. It was crazy.
Oh my God, we're nuts.
Yeah.
we're big Cazelle fans now.
Yeah, converts. Yeah, I think that also is a big theme of this project, is that, you know, Cosmo and I, we're just two people, right? And there's absolutely zero way that any of this would have gotten to anywhere close to where it is now without a lot of people's help. And so early on, and basically consistently through the whole process, it's been relying on people in our community that share our beliefs, that share the values, that are interested in this cause, and you know, and basically just getting as many people involved as possible. And that's how we found a lot of the artists. It's how we found a lot of the resources that we were able to use to make the festival what it is. And I think that's an interesting thing about Seattle too, is that if you have an idea and you ask and you care and you put in the work, people will respect it and reciprocate. And there's a lot of, I really appreciate that about the community, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. That is something I've noticed as well, and it's something that I appreciate. I mean, you know, people will come here from New York or LA, and they're like, "What the hell? No one does anything. Everyone just sits at home and complains and smokes weed." And it's like, yeah, but that just means that anybody who's going out to do cool shit, they just run into each other. Because everybody, you know, all the lazy people are just kicking it, and there's nothing wrong with these lazy people. You know,
No.
it's very much a Seattle vibe, and I have been steeped in that culture, and that's very much a part of me as well. But I you know, again, it really wasn't. I mean, it's weird to say it wasn't difficult, but it wasn't too hard to just get ourselves in the room or on the phone with a bunch of people who we really were like, no way. But it's just like, because they're around, and they're doing stuff, and if you do stuff, you're gonna bump into people. It's a small scene.
Yeah, because you rounded up a great bunch of sponsors as well, like Glazers and KEXP, you can say that as well, right?
For real.
Yeah, and they're just all very supportive, right?
100%. 100%. I mean, Cosmo and I have our own, you know, other jobs that we do. Yeah. And one of mine is a location sound recordist. And, you know, working in Seattle, you run into a lot of big agencies, and Color is one of the biggest, you know, creative agencies in the town. All of my friends are getting hired by them, and like to actually have them not only be a sponsor on the show, but also to be, you know, personally invested, like in this project, in that they're giving us, you know, streaming kits and helping us troubleshoot, you know, live stream setup, and basically just like, you know, what can we do? How can we help? That's not something graphics. I expected at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely been a big one of the bigger takeaways from doing this whole thing is you just got to ask, and people are usually down, especially if you truly believe in what you're doing and you can prove to people that you're about it and that you're going to come through. Like, people will reciprocate that, and that's exactly how this has happened. Because, you know, if we hadn't been down with it and actually like fully believed in what we were doing, I think people would have sensed that. And it would have just fallen through. And there's so much involved with doing something like this that it would not have been what it is without everybody who supported us.
Yeah,
that's great.
Speaking of which, honestly, it's a good a time as any to shout out Caitlin and Mo, who live with us. Caitlin's my girlfriend, and Mo is our good friend from college. They both were, you know, super supportive of the project early on, but as the date has come closer, they just keep taking on more and more responsibilities, and it's come to the point where Mo has not only shot basically everything that you're going to see on Shelterfest, edited everything and color corrected everything that you're going to see in Shelterfest, but also hooked us up with one of the biggest connections in the entire show, the program at UW that's been helping us, with basically all aspects of the show. Caitlin's producing all of the videos, helping us coordinate with artists. It's just been that's been a really cool part of it too. We've never actually done a project together, the four of us. We live together, and it's just a really kind of incredible situation.
So what are each of your kind of first talents or main talents? And then I'm sure it's all kind of crossed and you've worn different hats as part of this festival. Right?
Absolutely.
How has it sort of worked out between all of you? Who's doing what and,
Oh, man. Well, I guess Cosmo and I, we had this, we birthed this thing and we were we wanted to be as good as it possibly can be. That was, a main driving factor, is that we wanted this to be a festival. We wanted people to tune in and it's to be wowed and to feel
excited.
Like they were, actually participating in something that was, put together with love. And how did it spread out? First it was, we sort of split it down the middle, and I was going to do the videos and Cosmo was going to do the live stream aspect, and then there were more divisions.
And that's it. Yeah. What else is there?
And then as we figured out that there was oh yeah, we also need to market this, and then there's also an aspect of raising money to pay the artist. That's a job in and of itself. And so Caitlin basically took that over and helped us get all the budget. And then we realized that there's absolutely no way that we could shoot and edit all this content by ourselves. So Mo basically did all that. And that's what's cool, is that these are actually things that we truly love and care about, with or without the festival. I mean, Mo is a cinematographer. She edits.
Amazing at what she does.
Absolutely incredible. Caitlin studied production management in school and, loves coordinating with artists, and actually worked in development before this, so she was comfortable with making asks. Cosmo is an engineer at Avast. He records and mixes music, and he's doing all of that for the festival, plus being a dope graphic designer secretly, and also knowing about website design. Yeah, and I love spreadsheets and stuff, so
That's your talent.
Someone has to.
That's a damn lie. I feel like you wouldn't say this, but your role has actually been the eye of it. You've been, I don't even know if you've known that about it, but you've been directing all these shoots, and you have been orchestrating the overall aesthetic. I mean, and just the vibe of it. I think, the art that Stevie gave us and the design that I've been doing and the shooting that Mo has done we're all doing everything we can and putting our own style onto it. But you have been putting it together as a full thing, which is, somebody has to do it, and that's the thing for sure. And you definitely can't, undersell your role as a director. You've been doing all the interviewing. You wrote most of the questions.
Yeah.
And which is probably one of the cooler parts of the festival, is the interviews. I mean, we're all, everybody who's tuning in is here to see the music. It's because the artists are amazing. But we're hoping that people are going to be happily surprised by the interviews, and that they enjoy them, because they aren't just about, we're a band and this is we make music. I mean, those are cool, but that's all over the place. And hopefully people do take away a lot from these interviews. We talked about some pretty serious stuff, and I think, we were able to create an environment of trust with the artists there, so that things were pretty honest. And a lot of things that we need to hear, and that people who are watching definitely need to hear.
That's cool. I want to talk more about this in a little bit, but you put together a playlist of all the artists that you're playing. What we have on the festival, we kicked off with a couple of those, like I said earlier. We were just talking about Beverly Crusher, so I'm gonna go into that, and then Black Stax, and then the Qween, and then
hell yeah,
and then we'll be back for more with from Lorenzo and Cosmo from Shelterfest.
approach and come at. 99 reasons to stay in vocal combat. 99, 99%, 99% of those who know what's going on. 99% of those who know what's going on. I got 99 things to bring out. She got 99 things to sing out. We got 99 facts that bring down. 99, 99, 99, 99. Where's your loyalty amongst royalty and community? Stay invested. I think you just divested. It's like apartheid, but it's do or die. 99, 99, 99, 99. We got 99 reasons we ballin', 99 reasons we fallin', 99 words and we stallin', 99 cats and we all in. 99, 99%, 99% of those who know what's going on. 99, 99%, 99% of those who know what's going on.
Wrote this down 'cause my computer tried to stop me. The genocide continues. Why do we as people of color believe we only come together for barbecues, funerals, and churches? We fellowship while drinking wine and swallow chips for communion. When we step onto the stage, we got to be like George Clinton. Step into the other side of funk and ride the mothership and get the funk out of here.
99%, 99% of those who know what's going on. 99%, 99% of those who know what's going on. Black voice been exciting, conspiring, message in the music, reflective like acoustics, heartbeats of the drums. Yeah, the blood's filled with rum, and thoughts infested like slums. Never run or ran, banned like rubber. Silence turns to mothers. What spoke? High intensity like coke. Lyrics invoke new provisions, sunken visions. Mission to reach out in fours. Vintage like Peruvian doors. Yeah, chord to stretch and adore the flex and record the stress. Have minuscule tools to do. Need fuel for the heat and real talk for the streets. 99%, 99% of those who know what's going on. 99% of those who know what's going on.
This atmosphere is only part of our makeup, and the part that the media shows ain't hardly part of our makeup. So we sit and learn zero proof of our makeup. Nobody made us, now while those who control the masses of the minds with one lie. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. Dot, dot, dot. That's not true. You ain't wrote nothing new. That's not true. You ain't spoke nothing new. The only news about you is you choose to tell all these stories you make up.
99% of those who know what's going on. 99% of those who know what's going on.
Heartbreak. 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 Break. Heartbreak. never had a heartbreak like this, except of course I had a fold back into a fist. You made me feel like fireworks in my chest. Rather sit and watch you smile than take my next breath. I knew you didn't love me like that, no shit, but anxiety wouldn't let me rest. Thinking about your lips, fingertips, day trips, hella faded in the VIP, but the truth stumbles in just to fuck it up a bit like break. Heartbreak. 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 Break. Break. Heartbreak. Heartbreak. City turned me to stone. I never felt so alone. The ones I loved didn't wanna love me, so I'm loving my own. These niggas asking Qween, how they get so cold on the phone? Don't say my heart on the cone, just say that I'm in my zone. Keep it fucking till the sun, unlock the door and I'm gone. Intimate when we bone, the closest thing to my home. Ask me if I'm okay, I say the answer and moan. I don't ask if I can cry, I wipe my tears on my own. Heartbreak. 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 Break. Break. Heartbreak. Heartbreak. Break. 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 Break.
There you go. That was Qween with Heartbreak/Heartbreak.
Legend.
That was this banging track, and before that, Stax with 99, which is another great track, which also features Jace on the vocals there, and he's also your host for night 2, right?
That's right.
Yeah, sir.
Can't believe it.
Yeah. So you. So by the way, yeah, you are listening to the guest playlist on Signal here with Lorenzo and Cosmo from Shelter Fest, and the festival takes place on Saturday, November 14th, and Sunday, November 15th, from 6 to 8 p.m. each day. 2 hours, and you have 2 hosts, different hosts each night. Like we just said, Jace on night 2, Nikita Oliver on night 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
The one and only.
yeah, so I mean that's great. Like how do the order of events and how you've gone out about putting it is kind of interesting, because with COVID and all that, you've had to go out and film all of these different artists and all of their different locations, kind of thing. Is that kind of how it's going to appear kind of thing for people?
Yes.
Yeah, like
Yeah, the concept. So Shelterfest is is based on the shelter in place mandate. There's the little clever name there. But we did want to incorporate that theme. Originally, we had thought ideally we would like to shoot in people's homes. Not a crazy new idea, but people have been doing it. But it turned out that a lot of people didn't have a space at home that they could perform at, or they didn't want to shoot a video there. So we kind of opened up the invitation to be other places that you associate as home. And I think ultimately that vibe still came across. We would ask them, first of all, can we shoot in your house? And if not, what is a place that you associate as home? And we ended up at a lot of really cool spots that people maybe resonated with, maybe more than their houses.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. It's funny. I mean, first of all, I would like to bring up that safety was definitely a huge priority for us, and is a huge priority for us, especially making sure that the artists feel safe and cared for. So we had a certified COVID compliance officer on our team.
That's Mo.
The entire crew is a household, so we're one vector. Yeah. Tried to maintain all the protocol we possibly could with sanitizing and providing as much PPE as possible, eating in designated areas, all that good stuff. But end of the day, having a video crew in your house, not always the move in a global pandemic. So it actually ended up, like Cosmo said, being a huge blessing for some situations. I mean, like Gab shooting at the Medgar's pool, in the CD right by Garfield, blocks from where she would hang out as a kid.
Iconic.
Legendary. And Qween shooting at Youngstown Cultural Arts Center, like amazing. That's like such a crucial space to them as an artist, and like being able to shout out, and not just shout out, but like resonate with a space like during that performance is very special in a way that might not come across in an apartment.
Yeah. Well, it's really clever because it's about the community, the festival anyway, and then your ability to show it. It's kind of like a tour for, I guess, especially for people that aren't from Seattle, right? Because this is a kind of a worldwide festival. Anyone from anywhere can
Yeah.
tune in and catch it, kind of thing.
That's true.
Like,
But honestly, like even people that are from Seattle, I feel like are
They're
going
not
to
gonna
learn.
know.
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Bearaxe's Jam Space.
Mm-hmm.
What the hell is?
I'm excited to see it. Is it a crazy space? Or
Oh my god!
I mean, it looks great on film, but nothing can really
Describe.
recreate the feeling of being in that space. It is. What was it? Was it Crazy Bill or?
crazy. I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't want to say the wrong
I
name.
don't want to try.
But there's a guy who owns an auto body shop. I can't tell if it's functional or not. There was a lot of cars in there though.
Oh wow.
And he's a huge music head, and he basically has jam space in there, like around all the cars. There's a separate room that we ended up shooting them in, but it is like just the most. I mean, it's the classic like rock and roll band practice space. It's just filled with gear and beer cans and cables and mics all over the floor, drum pieces, and like just this crazy hectic space. And then there's cars. There's a cat running around.
Yeah.
It was like it was very, very cool being there. It was like it felt very much like, I mean, it was their space, as well as a lot of other bands that we didn't even know about. Space.
Yeah.
It was obviously a very magical place for people. And, all the bands who have been there and are still hanging out there, those who know definitely know.
Oh yeah, if you know, you know. I mean, it did feel very mystical. Like I love that we pulled up, and we were like, "This is the address," and we're in a Taco Bell drive-through.
Yeah.
And then Shayna called us, and she was like, "You're in the right place."
That's great.
Yeah.
So everyone ate Taco Bell that day? Is that...
No, we did not. We did not.
Better for everyone.
Yeah. Small space.
That was good though.
That's great, yeah.
But yeah, we, I think originally we had thought live stream festival equals live stream performances. And, we saw enough of them and we're like, okay, without a bunch of planning and a bunch of money for the highest quality gear,
Crew,
yeah, most importantly, almost crew is like, you cannot. It's a disservice to the music.
Yeah, and it was really mainly because Cosmo and I like musicians.
Yeah.
And we've been in the position of, having our art poorly presented. It's like, there's no way that we're going to post something up that looks or sounds bad.
Yeah.
And this is just the way to do it. We could really hone in on the performances and make sure that it was beautifully lit, beautifully shot, beautifully recorded.
And I do want to, just because we're talking about it, I want to shout out the people who are doing that work to make really amazing live stream festivals. Richard McLean is somebody who's been a really valuable resource to us, just as far as helping us like being a live stream guru. And he does these things called Sessions in Place that you guys should definitely check out. And that is a prime example of how to do a live stream show well, and not something that we'd be able to pull off.
No.
I mean, it's definitely, I'm a recording engineer at a studio. We do video shoots. This is the kind of workflow that works best for us. And also we wanted to make sure artists had the space and the time to get things right, to say what they wanted to say, and to not be stressed about it.
Yeah.
So we realized we want to present this correctly, and so we made the switch to doing pre-taped, and it just opened up a whole world of possibilities to us.
Yeah.
Meaning we can go wherever, whenever, at whatever time of
Talk
day.
to whoever.
Talk
Like the
to
fact that Omari from Converge Media has a bumper in here, and like,
yeah.
that's nuts. And I mean, even just it really opened up a lot of doors.
And so we basically just, once we made that switch, it became, I don't know, it changed the workflow a lot, and it opened up a lot of doors for us to make it a whole lot cooler.
Yeah.
It's like more, you can go in more in depth in a little bit, right? Because if you were trying to do it all over Zoom, it would just be like a little, not only to mention hectic behind the scenes, but like just the content-wise probably wouldn't have been as strong, right? Like
No.
Yeah.
I mean, a big part of this festival that wouldn't have even existed, I don't think, without the pre-tape was the chef highlights.
Yeah.
You know, restaurant highlights, but chef highlights really. You know, talking to these black restaurant owners or chefs or both that are sometimes also musicians. Like the fact that Grace Love and Chef Tarek and Chef Trey Lamont are all like related to the music scene very intimately is a pretty cool thing that, you know, a lot of people wouldn't have known if we didn't get to sit down with them and really have a full conversation and then also be able to present it, you know.
Yeah. So you did interviews with the artists as well, like after their performance, you're going to play a little, yeah. What's kind of, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, we've got the way that we have it set up, we'll have one song and then an interview, a little short interview, and then another song to kind of bookend it. I mean, it's pretty basic format. I think KEXP has definitely been killing that game for sure. But yeah, just as a way of, you know, showing the artists as musicians and also as people, and with thoughts outside of their lyrics, you know.
Yeah, like did you get them to talk about anything that's been going on this year and their thoughts and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean that definitely came up a lot. A big part of this platform that we're trying to build is you know, basically amplifying a wide and diverse view of the black artists and restaurant owners and chefs that live in our region. And you know, we wanted to be really careful that we weren't subconsciously pushing our own narrative on, you know, what we think this festival is saying about black people, because you know, it's just, first of all, we have no we have no say. But also it's very interesting to see the wide range of responses that we got in terms of content, in terms of opinion, in terms of experience, in terms of just like, you know, viewpoint. Basically there's like a whole rainbow of interviews, and that's I think one of my favorite parts of the show and how it's been shaping up, is that I do feel like it gives you a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah, when we put the lineup together, it was, you know, a huge thing, like a huge factor in how we put it together was, is this a diverse lineup of musical styles? You know, the worst thing we could do is make this like an all rap or all hip hop, you know, all soul festival or something, you know, and not like portray that there are these black rock bands that are just destroying the scene right now, and we're so proud to have them in Seattle. And there's a bunch that we didn't even get on the lineup because
too many,
and that as well as some rap and as well as some soul. And like we started out by just having a very diverse musical lineup because, I mean, that's the kind of music we listen to. I think contrast is a big thing for me, and I like certain music that's way different from other music because of how different it is, you know? And I think that's part of the reason why the lineup is the way it is. You know, it's all over the place in a way that makes sense. And I think that translated really beautifully into the way the interviews were also in a very similar way. You get a lot of different viewpoints. Everybody was getting asked pretty much the same questions, but they are not the same interviews. These are very, very different perspectives.
What kind of questions did you pose?
I mean, a lot of them are very basic. You know, it's just, you know, who are you? What are you trying to say with your art? Like basic, you know, questions about the music, questions about, you know, the experience being an artist. And then, you know, the conversation generally will trend towards the uprisings, the virus, these impacts or lack thereof on the experience. And yeah, just basically, you know, presenting a wide variety of topics, but allowing people to dive in where they found, you know, most relevant. And I think like Cosmo was saying, you know, you have people like Beverly Crusher who are like, you know, just a couple years pretty close to our age, basically. And then, you know, we're interviewing Clinton Fearon, who's, you know, been like doing work with the Gladiators since like the late 80s, you know?
Yeah.
So like the just diversity of experiences and, you know, perspectives on all of the topics that we present it's stunning.
Did you find that people were still trying to figure out everything that happened this year and make sense of it? Or did they have like a clear viewpoint? Because I know, at least for me, like with everything with COVID and the protests, and I went out in Capitol Hill and, and there's that plus the media is spinning different the politicians is spinning narratives from different sides, and I mean, what were some of the things that you sort of took away, you think, from what everyone talked about?
There's a theme for sure when talking about, specifically the Black Lives Matter movement and basically this idea that, this is something that's happening now. This is like, we all need to get on board because look, it's so terrible right now, when in fact, like it's always been terrible. Like the country is built on being terrible in a lot of ways. Yeah. And so like the idea that this is a new movement, that this is a new wave of, uprisings is honestly a little insulting, because it just goes to show how little people have been paying attention to the literal, just brutality that's been happening to Black people here, and that we've all been perpetuating by not, doing anything about. So that, I think, was a theme for sure. Just, some frustration in the fact that, yes, there's a lot of energy, which is positive, and yes, there's a lot of work that's being done, but a lot of it seems, performative, right?
Yeah. We got laughed at a couple times for asking the question, like, how is the Black Lives Matter affecting your how is the movement affecting your music, and they're like, this is not like, by referring to it as a movement, you undercut what it really is, which is like, it is so late. It is so overdue, and the fact that it requires somebody to get murdered, on a public scale is messed up. And we would keep asking the question because it's important for people to hear that the Black Lives Matter movement, it only had to be made into a hashtag and a movement and a trending thing so that it was palatable to people, so they would just fucking listen, and that is definitely a sentiment that we heard a lot, where it's like, I don't know how it's affecting me. This is just my life. How is it affecting you guys? Like, like
straight up.
Yeah, I mean, like, as Maya Marie said, she said, y'all are just the ones figuring this out, and it's true. I mean, put it very well. It's like, yeah, the movement aspect of it is just that everybody else is deciding to join in,
right?
Right. And so that definitely was a lot of it. I mean, we would ask about the movement and kind of about these things, but more often than not, people weren't like, oh, this is the year for Black people. It was like, it was like, I don't know. We're just doing our thing.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Did you find it was a learning experience for you then, in terms of, like, did it think you sort of changed some of your attitudes or outlooks based on kind of what they were saying about that kind of stuff? Like this isn't a new struggle. This is something that's been going on for a while, and
Yeah, I mean, it would be a damn lie to say that we didn't learn anything from this experience.
Oh, yeah.
It's just been, like Cosmo said, I mean, every day we interact with the festival, we learn about different aspects of our community, different facets of the city that we grew up in. But one thing I would like to make clear is that, we never wanted to come across, or, we never wanted to do Shelterfest to better ourselves or to better non-Black people, right? That was could be a potential side effect of it, but really the goal is to provide direct support to Black artists and restaurant owners. And it's very tricky line to walk, because when you go and you insert yourself into a conversation with predominantly Black people and you're asking questions about issues that intimately affect them and have affected them and their families for years and years and years, inherently, like, I'm going to learn some shit,
Absolutely.
I'm going to learn some shit. And it's a big part of the learning was, how do I talk about these issues, and how do I come at a topic which I really have no, experience in or standing in, and come at it from a place of honesty, of empathy, authenticity, vulnerability, in a way that allows people to respond as a whole person, and not just, the small version of them that I want to include in an interview. So I think that's the biggest thing, is just having conversations in an empathetic and just like in an open way that felt appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we learned so much, and a lot of it, is like, we're out here, busting our asses to make this happen. And it's like, why are we doing this? And it's a big question, like, why you know, it was easy to say like, let's do this, but why do we continue to do it? And, you know, and the more that we did it, it became more and more evident. This is the type of work that we should be doing more often. Like this type of reflection is really important for everyone. And it's not, you know, like you said, it's not, we didn't make this so that we could, you know, learn and become better, but it definitely happened like that. And I think the reason why we, you know, are making an effort to amplify Black voices is because the only way that you can really understand those perspectives is to hear it from Black people. You know, we can have all these discussions like we're having right now between non-Black people and say what we want about what we think, but the only way you're really going to understand those perspectives and those feelings is if you hear it from people who are actually experiencing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a big thing for me, has just been like listening, because especially coming from the UK and, you know, everything that's going on here is just like so kind of completely different than how, you know, it is in the UK. You know, there's racism in the UK and I've experienced that. It's like completely different, and, you know, the country, the history, everything is completely different. So for me, I've just been a little bit like, you know, I don't know, I have to listen, I really do, because, you know, just to understand like the dynamics at play and the history and everything like that. And, you know, especially I feel like we have to kind of say about the politics. I don't know how big that you think that plays into it, like with Trump being president and all of the hatred and division that he's stoking. And we have to raise a glass now because we found out this morning that he's now out of office. He's not going to leave easily, but
Clink,
he's
clink.
out. So I'd like to think that, I mean, how much do you think his presidency affected the country and people's mood, especially during all this? And do you think that now he's going to be on his way out, that's going to change the vibe of America a little bit? Or do you don't think that has any impact? No.
I think he, you know, just as somebody who's just been watching the country as they're doing this, I mean, he is just one dude. You know, he definitely opened the door for a lot of people to say horrible things that they had originally been,
and do horrible things.
Yeah, the things that, you know, we've been trying to grow as a country to shame those things. And, you know, he definitely gave a platform to those people to, you know, speak those opinions and do those things. But it's really, I think it's really ignorant to blame Trump for the racism that's there. All he did was kind of uncover that. And, you know, if these 4 years have taught us anything, it's that, you know, damn near half of the country is on board with that. And whoever's in office doesn't change that. You know, all politics aside, these are just people in the country. And it's interesting. I had a lot of conversations with you know, older people, because they've lived through a lot more than me, you know, and people who have grown up in small towns where there's no diversity. And in a lot of places, it is very segregated, and you have no access to, you know, talking to people of different races and different backgrounds. And you just have to form ideas about what the world is like without any other perspectives. And, you know, it really all comes down to that, you know, like we have to talk to each other. We have to communicate with other people of different backgrounds, or else we're just so divided now. And I mean, I think he did play a role in that people have found something to stand with, you know, and be like, I represent this. I agree with this by being against this, you know? But I do think that it's almost like it's dishonest and lazy to be like, well, because of Trump, you know, all this bad stuff is happening. Like, no, there's just a lot of shitty people in the country.
Uncover what was already existing.
And we need to address those people. Trump is going to be his own dude, and he's going to do these things, but we need to we need to deal with our population instead of worrying too much about who's up there and what they're saying.
Like, what do you think the best way of doing that is? Because I mean, like, I feel like in Seattle or any big city in America, you know, most people are pretty understanding. They talk to each other, you know. We don't come across so many people that have so much like extreme views. I think not in the city. I mean, there's a few obviously, but it's more prevalent outside, like in rural Washington State where we are and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I'm not saying we have to solve it here right now, but
Yeah.
like any thoughts on like how you can have a conversation with people that just don't want to have a conversation or listen or like.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you bring that up because this is another thing that we asked, especially towards the end of the shooting, was basically, Seattle is perceived by ourselves and by the rest of the country as being this sort of bastion of liberal ideals, being like a sort of bubble, of liberalism, and we basically asked the artists and the restaurant owners and the chefs, do you think that Seattle is inclusive of you, of a black artist, of a black chef? And the answers, like we said, were very varied. Some people had great experiences within their communities, but a lot of people basically just said that's really not the case. And, I think you're referring to sort of more visible, like, hate crimes that you see in the news not happening so much here. And I think that's true. To a degree, but there's definitely a lot of work that we can do as a city, as a community, to uplift, black people that live right here, right down the street, and support black businesses and black artists that are really not, there's no reason that they need to be, treated differently, just because there's a pandemic happening. Like these behaviors can happen and should happen all throughout. And I think that's a really good question, basically what can I do, that I think people are asking themselves. And the answer, I think one of the answers at least, is, like Cosmo said, to look at your own community, look at your immediate surroundings and connect with people, right? Jace was basically saying, you can't protest and in the streets and scream Black Lives Matter if you don't, look me in the eyes, you don't say hi to me when I'm crossing the street. Like, that there's a lot of truth in that. And I think the fact that we learned about so many of these restaurants and artists is just a sign that, there needs to be more of this situation. There needs to be a lot more of non-black people doing the work to educate themselves and basically having conversations that make them uncomfortable,
Yeah. I mean, I remember one of the first times I heard Nikita Oliver actually speak was on The Biggest Podcast, and it was might have been like a year ago, maybe more of that, and she brought up that thing about the progressive bubble and how and I thought it was a thing too, because I grew up in North Seattle. I went to school with white kids, like pretty much the entire school, and in very privileged neighborhoods, and like, nobody's doing anything that bad. This isn't, there's like, if there's racist kids, like we, look down on them. And I almost feel like people use that as a reason for them to not look at themselves, for them to blame the rest of the country. Like, oh, well, in the middle of the country and in the South, that's where all the bad people are. But up here, we're good. And I think the biggest thing that people can do is just like try to give a shit and try to like put in an effort. I think that's the hardest part for people to recognize, is it's like, well, why should I be trying any harder to, support black people? Like, they're just, if everybody's equal, why do I have to do that? And that's a huge part, is understanding that because of the way that this country has been built and the way that things have progressed, we all need to be making an effort to make changes in our life and our community. And if you're not doing that, you are part of the problem. That doesn't make you a bad person per se, but there is so much work that needs to be done, and it does start with yourself. And I think just making the effort to talk to more people, to just open your horizons. I mean, it's funny, we looked, we have the virtual food truck section, which is all black-owned restaurants, and there was a point where I was like, I'm gonna order some food from one of these restaurants on our list. I can't wait to try it out. And I looked at the map, and none of them are in my neighborhood. We live in Ballard.
Yeah.
And I was like, delivery fee is gonna be pretty gnarly for these.
Drive the whole truck.
And it really, that is such a concrete example of the fact that I need to either pay more for delivery fee, or I need to drive to the central district, or like somewhere else, like out of my neighborhood, to support, Black-owned businesses. It's not like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do that, And there isn't one specific answer. We definitely are not the people to tell that. But one thing that we can say is that you definitely just need to make an effort, and if you do that, you will find what you need to do to do the work that's necessary, because it's different for everyone.
Yeah, and being open and understanding that you will and are and have been making mistakes, right? Like, this is a process where we're literally living and breathing white supremacy every day in this country. And so there's absolutely zero chance that you will be perfect at being an anti-racist because you want to right now. Like, I'm fucking up right now. Like, you just have to be okay with the fact that, like, you're gonna try, and then you're gonna mess up. You're gonna say something that hurts somebody. You're gonna be insensitive. You're gonna cause a microaggression, and you have to be okay with, getting that feedback. Someone saying to you, "I don't like what you did," not getting defensive, but taking that feedback and actually integrating it into your life and saying, okay, well, how can I be more inclusive? How can I be more understanding of my own community? Because if you're not ready to to basically get hurt a little bit, then it's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's some heavy topics we've been talking about, but necessary discussions kind of thing. I want to play some more music for a little bit.
Let's
and then
do it.
We'll get back into it. I got this track, No Justice, from Fearon coming up. Tell me a little bit more about him. I haven't heard of him before. And
Oh my God.
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems like an OG. He's been around for a long time.
He's the real deal.
I think that's the only way to say it. Like, he's an OG. He's the real deal.
Oh
Yeah.
man, a legend, really. Yeah, the dude has been just like a pillar, a reggae pillar for.
Yeah, I was mad at myself when I was like, how did I not know that this dude was in Seattle? Like, because I'm really into, like, especially like, years ago, I was really into like roots reggae that, especially that the old stuff. And like, Lorenzo just sent me a video of him, just like, he sent me the song that you're about to play. He sent me the music video for that, and he sent me a video of him just performing with his acoustic guitar. And I was like, chills. I was like, this is literally, this is just everything I want. Like, this is
better than anything that we can say. You just need to, like, anyone that's hearing this just needs to go listen to the album Disturb the Devil by Boogie Brown Band, and like, you'll know.
You'll just get it.
You'll know.
You cannot replicate that. You can't fake that. It's just, and that's Clinton right there. There's definitely a lot of reggae is a thing, like a community that I'm not really like super a part of, and the modern stuff I don't really get it a lot of the time. But what's really big is when you can just feel that authenticity, and it's there with Clinton, and that's why I love it.
And he's performing just acoustically on Shelter Fest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How many tracks is he doing?
Just 2.
Yeah. He gave us 2 like just gorgeous performances, just him and his guitar, and it's really, really
he's got
special.
an amazing voice. Yeah.
Okay, well, here we go. No Justice, Clinton Fearon.
saying there's no justice at all. Yes, we're saying no justice at all. Still we wanna know why Officer Crown didn't get indicted and charged for his action. Why? Tell I why? Oh why? Oh why? Hey. There's no justice at all. Oh no 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 no. No justice at all. No justice at all.
Yeah. Free. Yeah. Check my ankles, check my wrists. I'm so thankful I exist. I'm alive and now I'm thriving. Got a vibe with every breath. Check my fingers, check my toes. Can you feel the soul? Blessed to see the day. Another step to get the goal. Hey you, 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 hey. Check my ankles, check my wrists. I'm so thankful I exist. I'm alive and now I'm thriving. Got a vibe with every breath. Check my fingers, check my toes. Can you feel the soul? Blessed to see the day. Another step to get the goal. Hey you, 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 yeah, free. Y'all know life is golden, man. I was really just riding down the street on my bike, you know, Raider Avenue, on my way to work. I look up, Cadillac Escalade gon' clip me. Whoa, could have really been gone, man. Glory to God, glory to God, glory to God. I guess some things go the way they go for a reason. For a reason. So you gotta show gratitude. Gratitude. Be grateful. Gratitude. Check my ankles, check my wrists. I'm so thankful I exist. I'm alive and now I'm thriving. Got a vibe with every breath. Check my fingers, check my toes. Can you feel the soul? Blessed to see the day. Another step to get the goal. Hey you, 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 hey, hey, you, yeah. Check my.
That was all gold. How am I going to say that? All?
I think AU gold.
AU.
AU. It's just AU. It's
think
not French.
It's like the element, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
French. Maybe it is French.
I think it's like the element.
Shows you what I know. By Rell Be Free, who is going to be performing on night 1 or 2 of Shelterfest. Night 2 of Shelterfest, which is taking place on Saturday, November the 14th, and Sunday, November the 15th, online, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Shelterfest.com is the place, right, where you can go watch that.
Shelterfestseattle.com.
Oh my God, yeah. Did you even check out what the other website is?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was our first try.
Is it just like nothing there or something?
No,
There's other Shelterfests. We are not the first.
I
Won't
see.
be the last.
I see.
It's
But
too good of a name.
That's why Shelterfest Seattle. Is,
Yeah, keep it in the fan.
yeah.
There you go, yeah. Well, that's cool. And I also want to say that you partnered up with Artist Relief Fund, right?
That's right.
Tell me a little bit more about them and what they do.
Sure. Seattle Artist Relief Fund is one of the first, most successful mutual aid efforts in our region during the pandemic, specifically for artists. It was really early on in the pandemic.
Oh, they were quick.
Yeah, I mean, like right off the bat, they had a GoFundMe up.
They're new?
Well, it was, I mean, everyone knew, well, not everyone knew. A lot of people knew that once shelter in place mandates hit, artists were going to get hit.
Yeah.
You know, it's
there's no way it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, like the clubs closed, the venues that were, you know, all ways that artists could make money basically just tightened up. And so Ijoma and Langston teamed up to make this ridiculously like lean system that would basically just, you know, you donate to the GoFundMe, they basically just disperse to artists directly. And it's a beautiful thing because this is a time when a lot of people were saying, you know, budgets are going to get tighter. You know, the people aren't going to want to spend money because, you know, everyone's hurting right now. But they raised like over $100,000 in the first. It was just ridiculously fast how much the community stepped in. But at the same time, the need was so huge in the beginning too that you know, there was never a point when they had too much money.
Yeah, and as we speak, they have actually closed the fund down and they're not accepting new applicants. But that does not mean that they don't still need over $100,000 to fill the people's needs. That like they still have hundreds of people on their wait list. That you know, it is, and that really speaks to how much of a need there is. I mean, even without a pandemic, artists are broke and starving. So like,
and
take away that. Yeah.
When you have like the laughable amount of government support that's come through for artists, like, what do you expect is going to happen? You know, and so it's a really incredible thing that funds like this exist, and you know that's the main goal of the festival. Besides, you know, obviously. Direct, like even more direct than a fund is just paying a Black artist. Like we provide payment links for all of the people that are performing, all the hosts, all the restaurant owners, anything that they want to support goes up. But this is a really direct way to support the community in a time when, you know, Black artists are some of the most affected. Yeah.
And they do have a focus on BIPOC artists, transgender, non-binary, disabled artists, which I think is really important. They shout that they cite that because it's like, well, yeah, we're gonna, you know, prioritize the people who need the help the most. Just like, you know, not because we're standing on a pedestal, but because this is just the way it is.
Is the goal of the fund, right? Mutual aid, right? Helping the people that need the help.
Yep.
So let's think about the people that need the help.
And it really is just like, I mean, it just completely aligns with the festival's goals. So that's kind of how we found it. And, you know, searching for artist relief, like searching for funds for artists, you really, it's kind of hard to find a better one than that. Like it's just, and that's why, you know, Refill also earlier this year had also raised money for them because it's just such a cool thing that it exists.
Yeah. And the need, like we said, is great. There's a lot of need. So yeah, that's the main fund that we're pushing.
So what's the best way that viewers can and listeners can support?
You can donate. You can basically visit our website shelterfestseattle.com to invest in the fund directly. You can also go to Langston's page. They're the parent nonprofit that's basically handling all of the overhead. You know, dispersing, making sure that the applicants are valid, and yes, you can visit the site shelterfestseattle.com, or you can go to Langston's portal. They have a PayPal link.
Yeah, there's a tab they have on their page directed just for the Seattle Artist Relief Fund, and there's a link on our page that goes directly to the PayPal. But if you want to read more about it, they've got a whole page on it, a little video on it, which is very cool.
It is very cool.
Nice, cool. And the virtual food truck section, how does that work? Can I order food whilst I'm watching the show? Or is that the
100%?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually Caitlin's idea.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is it's a very cool thing. It's, you know, visually we call it a virtual food truck section because visually there's, you know, these cute hand-drawn food trucks on the website.
It's like you're going to a music festival and you visit the section where the food trucks are at.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, it's funny because, you know, one of our main goals was to try to bring back some of that energy that you get at a festival that you just can't get from like going to, you know, Twitch. And part of that was we had, you know, this virtual main stage drawn by Stevie Shao as well. All the illustrations are by Stevie Shao. And Caitlin was like, well, a big part of the festival is the food trucks, you know? So yeah, we're just going to have these food trucks on there that you can just click on them and it'll give you a little bit of info about these Black-owned restaurants and just make it really easy to order and support.
Yeah, and there's a lot of buy-in too. Like the restaurants, it was really funny actually calling people up and saying, you know, this is what we're doing. We have a festival. It's a music benefit show supporting black artists and restaurant owners in the Seattle area. Do you want to be listed on our food truck section? A lot of people ask me how much it costs. Like, what's the fee to be on the lineup? And we're like, no, actually,
what do you want from us?
Exactly. But you know, even when we tell them that it's free, a lot of them have, you know, said, like, one of the first businesses that we reached out to was Boon Boona Coffee in the South End, and Ephraim basically offered to donate $5 for every bag of coffee that he sold through the festival to the Seattle Artist Relief Fund. And, you know, we've got people like Fats Chicken Waffle basically throwing in gift cards for our giveaway, and Island Soul throwing in, you know, apparel. So a lot of the restaurants are helping us as well. And it's actually been pretty incredible.
I mean, this is part of the reason why we love the food service industry, because you can't have a good restaurant without being a community staple. You just can't. And I mean, I've worked in food service, and I also just am fascinated by the industry. I love buying food, really, really great at it. Not so good at not buying it, but it just goes to show that, you know, these, you know, here we are trying to support these restaurants that we are like, oh, you're struggling. And then it's like, no, I mean, maybe they are, but they also, like, it's important to them to make a difference in their community. And they already do that by just being a restaurant that people like and that they frequent. And, you know, by being a Black-owned business also is just so important. And we need to do everything that we can to support that, because there's just, I mean, we learned that, what I'm about to say, we learned that Jerk Shack is the only 100% Black-owned restaurant in downtown Seattle.
The only.
The one.
And
they're in Belltown, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
It's mad embarrassing. People don't believe that, because it's hard to come to terms with that. And, you know, there's a lot at play in that. But what that means is it is a tight-knit community, and the people who are doing that work and doing that are, you know, like owning a restaurant, owning a business, and being that face for the community it's so important, and we're here to support that. And man, you know, especially living in Ballard, like we're doing anything we can to get a little more culture up north, please.
There's some good spots in Ballard, but our lineup definitely is a little sparse there.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the goal with the virtual food truck section, is just to add to that festival experience for the people watching, and also just you know, we hope that even after the festival, especially after the festival, it is a resource that people can use to go there. And, you know, we've got highlighted menu items to just make it very easy and exciting to do this, because, you know, like I was saying, like, you do have to make an effort to do these things, to go out of your way to support Black-owned businesses. And, you know, anything that we can do to make that like a easier, more fun thing, like, you know,
that seems relevant to us, right?
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited about this festival. Like, I don't know, something about it hit me as soon as I got the email and heard about it, and I was like, this looks great. Like, I think you guys have the soul in the right place, and, you know, there's a lot of soul coming out of the whole project and all the artists that are involved in it and the chefs and everything like that. So it's I think I'm more excited about this than a real life Capitol Hill block party, I would say, like, because I've been to those and they're not that great. So,
hot take.
I don't mean to, like, oh, you know, well, you know.
Yeah.
Who cares? No one's watching. Well, me. I hope they're watching you. So it's great. I'm really excited about it. And once again, I want to tell the listeners and the viewers at home, Saturday the 14th, Sunday the 15th, 6 p.m. Get on shelterfestseattle.com to tune in and support everything. It's going to be amazing. I have 3 more tracks here. I would love to talk more with you guys, but the cameras are going to die soon.
Well, before we wrap up, I also do want to point out that we will be streaming the festival from this location right here. So, you know,
this is
huge
mission control. We spent about 10 hours today working on
yep, something like that.
Slight exaggeration. But, yeah.
Barely. But I do also want to follow up and just give a huge shout out to Jay and SIGNL being just one of the bedrocks of the festival. Honestly, being able to put it on is directly related to them existing.
It's
so
crucial. Absolutely crucial.
You know, helping us basically be the hub, be the streaming hub, and you know, getting these artists paid has just been absolutely phenomenal. So glad you're tapped in if you're listening, and if you're not, you're missing out.
Yep. So thank you, SIGNL. Thank you, Jay. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Cosmo. Thanks, Lorenzo from Bad Habit Media. I want to have you guys back at some point, and we can talk about everything else you're working on and future things and everything like that. And you know, maybe there'll be some future collaborations.
Just hit us up, man.
So there you go.
Totally down.
You can't get rid of us now.
Here to stay in the HQ hub here, the studio in Pioneer Square. Yeah, once again, everyone, you've been listening to the guest playlist on SIGNL. I'm Jay Purcell. Been here with Cosmo and Lorenzo from Shelterfest / Bad Habit Media. Check out ShelterFestSeattle.com. We're going to play 3 tracks to end tonight, all of which are going to be playing live performances at the festival. And we're just going to go into this great track now from Gifted Gab with Mario Sweet. It's called Piece of My Love. Thanks guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Trying to cause no pain. I own up to my mistakes, and I really, really wanna change. Ever since you went away, my heart is empty. So please don't forget me. Yeah. See, I ain't never ever done this, but you're the love of my life. We were so happy and I blew it. But I'm sick of trying, I'm tired of lying. Yes,
yes, I'm smiling, but inside I'm dying. So please just keep a piece of me. Ooh.
Please just keep a piece of my love. You don't have to keep the whole thing, just enough to remember. Please just keep a piece of my love. You don't have to keep the whole thing, just enough to remember.
Woke up this morning, I saw the sun. I know today was gonna be another one. Put my head out of the sand. On 2 feet, here I stand. No, you can't take back yesterday. You will learn as you grow. Time isn't wasted on anything. Give your all for what you owe. Your path is clear, but will you follow? You might get lost along the way. Yeah. No, you can't take back yesterday. You will learn as you grow. Time isn't wasted on anything. Give your all for what you owe. No, we're not promised another day. So live your life with open eyes. Though it all may seem so far away, live in the moments that you have. Yeah. No, you can't take back yesterday. You will learn as you grow. Time isn't wasted on anything. Give your all for what you owe. For what you owe. For what you owe. Framed in the picture, they got their bird's eye view. Can't get any clearer on what they want from you. Claim you're looking for, it's what you came here for. The game. Give them what they want and more. In Hollywood, bright lights, shiny things, titties on that silver screen. Hollywood, the only way to come in is getting down on your knees. Hollywood, there's a soul for sale. Hollywood, Hollywood. Yeah, you just a little, enough to make you stick and wait. You too far gone, they'll make you crawl for it. Same shattered pictures hang crooked on every wall that wear you low. Nobody's there at all in Hollywood. Hey, ooh, hey. Bright light, shining things, titties on that silver screen. Hollywood. The only way to come up is getting down on your knees. Hollywood. There's a soul for sale. Hollywood, yeah. All hail Hollywood. Hollywood. Here lies that sweet old soul that don't nobody seem to know when she's down and out. But her mama cried, all her daddy tried, couldn't get back right. Oh, I've seen it so many times in Hollywood. Bright light, shining things, titties on that silver screen. Hollywood. The only way to come up is